Hello beautiful people, I'm RaishPhoenix, and in today's video we're going to be doing a monthly review. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. In this video I'm going to be discussing the month of July and August and what was going on around that time for me. A constant struggle that I have is I'm so selfless that whenever I make a decision to do something, it's most likely that I will think first about how my actions will affect others as opposed to the intent behind my actions and how it makes me feel. In July, I had a moment where I was understanding more of that aspect and how it plays a role in my life and how it's been very restricting. It made me think more consciously about how do I feel, It's like I start to lose a grasp of how I feel about doing something or what the point of me doing something is, because I'm so focused on, okay, if I do this, how is it going to affect so and so? So in particular, like what I think about sometimes is like there are things that I want to draw, there are certain types of art that feel in tune with what I'm feeling. It's like as human beings, we have so many emotions that we go through and experience, and sometimes I feel guilt either showing or expressing those emotions. I've spoken about this in other videos, but the main thing I'm talking about is sexuality. And I have this thing where it's like I just love drawing couples in an intimate moment, specifically when it's right before something happens. So it's like drawing people about to kiss or drawing somebody about to touch somebody's face. It's like moments like that I find to be so beautiful, and I want to illustrate stuff like that, but sometimes I stop myself from illustrating those type of things because I think first, oh, is my family member who follows me on Instagram gonna find this gross and start to, I don't know, get angry at me for no reason? It's like my mind just wanders on subjects like that. Now I'm like, okay, like I need to stop doing this to myself. I need to stop restricting what I want out of my life just because I'm thinking first what somebody else might think. And I think the biggest thing for me to realize is like the thoughts that are going through my head aren't reality. It's like we have those moments where we get so caught up in what might happen that we don't realize that maybe something else will happen, like something positive, like people will support you, people will appreciate that you're expressing this part of yourself. And it's like I have to remind myself that that is also a possibility. Another topic that I know I touch on a lot in my other videos is the guilt that I feel when I express to somebody who wants to spend time with me that I can't spend time because I'm going through it. It's like I have other things going on in my life, and right now that is taking priority over hanging out. The guilt that comes with that kind of puts me down this loophole of psyching myself out about that situation before it even happens. So it's like I already have thoughts going through my head of, oh, now I have to like fluff my feathers up and, finally say it to their face that I can't hang out, and there's a possibility they may freak out on me, but like I need to be ready for that. And it's crazy how I'm realizing more and more like the things that, like I said before, like, like the things that go through my head aren't reality, but it's like the amount of times I psych myself out about a situation. So by the time it actually happens, even though it doesn't play out the way that I had anticipated it to, I'm still filled with so much anxiety over it. So the biggest thing that I'm really trying to accomplish is just understand how I feel. Like it's safe to say that's the biggest thing, really, to understand that it's really about my intentions and what I feel, and honoring myself, taking care of myself, and expressing that to others, and either they get it or they don't. And for those that don't get it, I can't really change anything about that. It is what it is. It's like I really gotta take better care of myself, and if someone can't understand that I'm taking steps to better myself and they get angry about it, then it just means that person can't be as prominently in my life as they used to be. Which leads perfectly into my next point, because I'm getting more clarity on what I deserve, like understanding that I am not, first of all, I'm not a burden. You're not a burden. Nobody's a burden. We all have our needs, and I think it's safe to say with the way that we're raised, we kind of feel like we're supposed to need less. How do I dive into this more? It's like, as a child, like the way I was raised, I kind of felt like every time I messed up was making it more difficult for my parents. Like if it was less likely for me to make a mistake, or if it was less likely for me to need something, then I am less of a burden to them. And later on in life, it starts to feel like the less that you need or require as a human, the less of a burden that you are. But it's like, that is not healthy and it's not true. All of us have our needs, and all of us have things that need to be met in our life in order for us to feel at peace and loved and appreciated and have a good quality of life. Understanding those things plays a very big part in my ability to understand what I deserve. And with that, I'm understanding more how to separate the way somebody treats me from, okay, this is just the way they are. Someone can be very humorous, you know, they can be very funny and make jokes all the time, but there's a difference between you make jokes all the time and you're a funny person versus you're making jokes out of things that are very emotionally sensitive to me, and I'm communicating that to you, but you're still doing it. Once I realized that difference, it made it a lot clearer for me to be like, okay, I cannot tolerate this behavior. Like, this behavior is hurting me. It's like I forget that I can say, ow, this hurts, please stop. And if the person doesn't stop, you can't be in my life, you know? It's crazy how, I don't know, just my ability to recognize those things now. It's like, okay, just because somebody has this type of characteristic doesn't mean it's okay for them to hurt me. You know, like I am in a space and creating space in my life to be able to be like, ow, this hurts, please stop. And if it doesn't stop, I can't be around you anymore. I'm learning more also how to be more accepting of love in my life. I always say this, I love helping others. I love showing support and love where I can and where it feels natural. So when it happens to me, or when I feel like I need that, less so when it happens, but more so when I feel like I need that love and support. In the past, I think that I kind of felt, I don't know, maybe weak, maybe like a burden, maybe not deserving of it. It's kind of hard to dissect because it's like I can't really understand anymore that dynamic of the way I used to think, because I've done the work to stray from that and not do that anymore. But I'm learning how to just accept and also express to others that I need help, that I need people who genuinely support what I do. Recently, the people who I've been talking to more consistently in my life, I've seen how supportive they've been, and it's crazy because sometimes you're not even aware of things until you're exposed to it. And without me having to express it, they've been so supportive of my work. They appreciate what I'm doing. They talk to me about how my mental health is and improving it. And I appreciate that aspect so much. And I realize now how important that is, of how important of like a necessary and essential part of my life that is. Now that I have that knowledge of how that affects my quality of life, I see in the past how much I've restricted the ability of others to play that role, to encourage me, to uplift me, and how that has created less space for it in my life. And whereas now, like, I'm allowing myself to communicate more with those people so I can be exposed to that more and understand that I am deserving of those things. Regarding my brand, I started thinking more about getting better at what I do as opposed to achieving a goal. I think there was a point where I was more focused on, okay, regulating my sales when it comes to my Society 6 and Redbubble store, or getting somebody who wants to commission me for art. I had these goals where I wanted to increase stability in my income so I can continue to nurture pursuing my dreams. But I realized that that put so much pressure on me to create something that was very difficult to create for that moment in time. So I started focusing more on getting better at what I do. So I started looking into anatomy more, looking into color palettes more, looking into understanding backgrounds. And once I did that, I felt such a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders, because it wasn't anymore about controlling an outside factor to bring me happiness, but it was more so about creating an internal factor or altering an internal factor to affect my external world. So it was kind of, in a way, claiming my power back to me and understanding what I'm capable of and bettering myself at. And it played a very huge part in making me feel a lot better during that month. Also, I ended up watching a video here on YouTube where an artist had spoken about her income, and that was the first time I ever heard somebody refer to passive versus active income. So passive income would be me having a Society 6 and Redbubble store. So a company that takes care of selling my prints and different household items, and they take care of billing, whereas I'm just focused on creating art and just doing what I do. Versus a commission, or somebody commissioning me to, I don't know, design a logo or to design something for them. That's more of an active income, because I actively had to be sitting there and doing what I need to do to get the money, versus something else where the money is coming in from what I've already done. I never heard of these terms before, and it's like, I'm so happy that I know of it now, because I'm getting better and better at understanding that I need multiple streams of income. Anybody can benefit from multiple streams of income, but it's like, that's not the way my mind thinks. My mind usually thinks, okay, if I want this to be the thing that makes me money, just go that way, you know? And now I'm like, okay, yes, you can go that way, but also look at your other options and other ways to increase your revenue so that you can increase the product you're putting out and reach more people and help more people, you know? So once I understood the difference and the importance of passive and active income, it brought me a lot more clarity about what's possible when it comes to building my brand. In the month of July, it was also a really great time for me to just kind of go with the flow. In the past, or in those past couple of months before July, I was writing down all of the things that I wanted to do per day, and that worked for a little, but sometimes I felt like I didn't have that good of a gauge in terms of how I was feeling and what I was expecting of myself from that. So I may have written down one day that I want to edit a photo and then film a video and also put an hour in on an art piece, but then when that day would happen and I was physically there, I would realize that I only emotionally felt the energy to work on my art, which created a habit of me just going with the flow. So I was still working on a daily basis, but I realized that it was less about me writing down what I need to do and just going with how I felt, which in turn also helps me with honoring my emotions. I also started to care less about numbers, specifically the numbers relating to social media. I think it's safe to say that if you are a business owner or a brand owner and the way you conduct your business is through social media, it's very easy to get caught up in numbers, caught up in the followers, caught up in your engagement, caught up in the likes, and allowing that to dictate your mindset in terms of how successful you feel. But I had this moment in July where I was just like, you know what, screw that. You know why I said screw that? I said that because at the end of the day, whatever's meant for me in life is meant for me in life. An algorithm or whatever is not gonna fuck with that. Seriously, period. It is what it is, you know? I work so hard, and I know I work so hard to get to where I'm meant to be. And even if I inspire one person, all that matters is that I've inspired them, I've reached somebody, and hoping to God that the person I inspire can pursue their dreams as well and is doing their best and becoming the best version of themselves. You know, that's what's important to me. And I'd be lying if I said that the numbers don't get to me sometimes, because sometimes those numbers really do feel like it's dictating my level of success. But I don't want numbers from an app that I didn't create to dictate my success. I want how I feel to dictate my success. I want all of the things that I know I've accomplished. There are things that I don't share with other people that I've overcome, and just because I don't share it with the world, or just because the world didn't like my post 5 million times, doesn't mean that it's any less valuable, you know? And you know, that's something internal that I need to fix about myself, and that's why I did the work. And I reached a point where I'm like, you know what, screw the numbers. Like, why am I doing this to myself? So I think that was a very necessary moment for me to understand that and to move forward with pursuing my dreams. I also put my foot down about the fact that this is plan A. You know, there is no plan B when it comes to pursuing my dreams. You know, I think that there's this point, or for what happens to me sometimes is like, I will have an intention to accomplish a certain thing, and when I don't accomplish it, I start to question if the timing's right, if maybe the universe wants me to do something else, maybe it's not working out for a reason. And sometimes I forget that things may not be working out because I need to educate myself better on how I was doing it. Or it may be because I need to get better at what I'm doing. After taking those things into consideration, I'm like, you know what? There is no plan B. I'm pursuing my dreams regardless. Whether I get a regular job and I'm balancing that with my dreams, there is no plan B. I'm going to become successful. I am going to accomplish my goals. I am going to pursue my dreams, and that's in nobody else's hands but my own. I have to hold myself accountable for the things I'm doing on a daily basis. Ask myself every day if the things I'm doing are either leading towards my goals or making me go farther away from it. And if it's making me go farther away from it, I need to change something, you know? So having that moment of accountability, I was like, you know what? I am making a decision right here and now that it's gonna work. No matter what, it's going to work. In the month of August, I ended up discovering Gary Vee. So if you don't know who Gary Vee is, look him up. He's amazing. So pretty much he is a brand owner, but at the same time he does a lot of talks and spreads a lot of information about growing your brand, being a brand owner, a business owner, strategies that you can use. And I love the way he talks and directs his energy, because he's the type of person that if you're feeling down or if you're sleeping, he can pick you up right like that, you know? It's like he's just one of those people that like gets to me, and it's like when I hear him, I'm like, okay, I can do this, it's possible. I just need to have patience and pull through, you know? So discovering him was such an amazing moment, and it really opened my eyes up to marketing and understanding more of that aspect, because I see now in the past as an artist how I've focused more on the creative side of being a brand owner, but not thinking about marketing or how I can communicate better to my followers, or understanding the business dynamics of it, you know? So once I started watching Gary Vee, it kind of brought everything into full circle. I also started working at my desk again that month. I think that in July I was working dominantly on like a little desk, how do I describe it? Like a little bed table situation, you know, and I would set my laptop up and I would work on there because it was just more comfortable for me. But I realized that I have this habit of thinking a lot. I'm sure from hearing me talk in these videos, you guys can probably tell I think a lot, you know? And it's crazy because I have to find this balance where it's like my ability to process and understand the things that I do in this world is from thinking and dissecting it and understanding it. But at the same time, I do have this habit, as being fully self-employed and working from home, I have this habit of getting so caught up in thought and strategies that I don't actively do it as much as I think about it. So sitting at my desk again was like my moment of, okay, like start actively doing things. Try to actively do more things in a day than processing what are my strategies and not actually following them through until like the next day. From watching Gary Vee, he also talks a lot about making no into his best friend. So I think there's a very I don't know, I think it's more likely when somebody says no to me, from what I've experienced. I feel like when somebody says no, it makes me kind of feel like I can't have it or I can't do what I want to. So it's like if somebody, if I'm trying to, I don't know, rent a specific building to have an art show and somebody says no for whatever reason, in my mind I feel like I'm not meant to have an art show. And sometimes I may not process, okay, check another building, you know, or check back with this building in a couple of months, you know. So no. And in terms of the terminology I'm trying to get across of making no into your best friend, is no means that there's a yes somewhere else. No means that there's either some type of work or some type of something that has to be done to reach a yes. And no doesn't always mean you can't have it, you know? And when please don't get me wrong, because when I say this, I'm talking about doing things in your life. I'm not talking about pursuing a person. If somebody says no, leave them alone. But when I say this, I mean in the dynamics of when you're trying to accomplish a goal in terms of the things you want out of your life. You know, it's like, I think we allow no to kind of create limitations for ourselves or feel like it's not possible for us to accomplish things. Whereas it's more so, we need to figure out what experience needs to be made or what type of strategy needs to be put into work for it to work and for you to be able to reach whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. Another thing I did, which brought me so much anxiety, was reaching out to people to collaborate with them. I want to keep it 100, you know. I still struggle with this as an artist, where it's difficult for me to reach out to people that I look up to and ask them, hey, would you like to commission me as an artist to help you do X, Y, and Z? Or, hey, just letting you know I exist, and if you ever need an artist to work with, I'm here. You know, it's like, I get so much anxiety with that because sometimes I'm just like, who the hell am I? You know, who the hell am I to think that I would get hired by them? Who the hell am I to believe that I'm deserving of the money that they've worked so hard for, you know? And I had to confront that, you know? I had to realize that, you know, actually there was a meme that I saw the other day that was just like, you only get in life what you have the courage to ask for. And, you know, this was a moment where I'm like, okay, I want to work with these artists, but I can't work for free because I need to eat. So I was like, you know what, let me just write them, you know, let me just write different people that I want to collaborate with and see if they're open to it and see if it results in anything. And, you know, in the long run, I don't know, maybe they'll hit me up in a couple years or whatever, but it was important for me to do that because, first of all, I want them to know I exist. Second of all, I'm still working on understanding that I'm fucking worth it. You know, everybody's fucking worth it. And I'm deserving of those things because I work so damn hard, you know, to be where I'm at, to accomplish the things that I do. And I had to confront that part of myself that feels like, or doubts that I am worth it, you know. Honestly, I didn't receive a message back from any of them, but at the same time, like, I'm not mad about it. I feel like it was kind of like a life test of like, hey, accomplish this thing so you can overcome your fear, you know. But I did it, and yeah, I did it. Also, on the topic of educating myself and money, I got this book, So I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I just wanted to understand money better, you know. I think that we have this habit of wanting money and being upset when we don't have a lot of it, or not understanding how our bank account went from $100 to $0. Or like, I feel like there's so much not progressive talk around money, you know, and it makes it difficult to kind of understand how to get better at managing it and understanding saving and utilizing the things that even exist in this world, because if we don't know it exists, how can we even do it, you know? So I want to get a better understanding of money and the role that it plays in my life, my relationship with it. So I got this book so I could do that. I think I'm only like about 20 pages in on this or whatever, but so far I really like what I read, and it's definitely opened my mind to things that I don't know, and now I know. But it's kind of crazy how, I don't know, it's kind of crazy how life is set up, where it's just like you go to school and then you go to college and then you're in debt and then you have to pay back the debt, but then you're also like, how the hell am I going to do this? And then it's difficult to get hired, and then it's difficult to regulate your income while trying to balance everything else in life. And it's like, I don't know that much about money because I didn't really have an upbringing where my parents spoke to me about saving. They told me to save, but I didn't know what I was saving for. I didn't know, you know? It's like there's so much ignorance that I in particularly have around money, and if you don't have ignorance around money, God bless your soul. Share what you know with people. Make money off of that too. You know, it's like, I don't know, but it's I don't know. It's crazy how something can be so prominently in your life, but at the same time you don't have that much of knowledge around it. So with that book, I'm really trying to close that gap and get better. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Bless up, and until next time, sending out much peace, love, and enlightenment. Bye, guys.